Welcome in to the channel, everybody. Jarrett Bailey with you as always. I know I've done a lot fewer of these types of streams on the YouTube channel as of late, and that's because I'm the host of Believe in Steelers Now, which I'm going to do an episode on everything later on today. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. I'm going to be kind of double dipping here, but I did want to come on the YouTube channel exclusively just to talk about everything because I have a nice audience over here of people who like commenting on the live stuff. So did want to do that. It's also on Twitter right now. So you can, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Obviously, the big news of the day, the Steelers trading Minkah Fitzpatrick in exchange for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith from the Miami Dolphins. The trade also includes a 2027 day 3 pick swap. So in reality, that isn't going to mean anything for another couple years. My immediate thoughts are this. Well, I'll start with the Minkah side of things. I'm not in love with the fact that they traded him. I understand a lot of people have been pretty critical of his play over the last couple years, the lack of splash plays and whatnot. And his play, while the splash plays weren't there, he's still, in my opinion, at least, a top 10 to 12 safety in the NFL. Had some injuries in 2023, only played in 10 games. Last year played in all 17 games, but only had the one interception against Baltimore. And so it was pretty clear that, those splash plays were becoming fewer and farther between. And he wasn't the same guy that he was in 2019 when they got him. And look, age comes for everybody. Certain positions are a little bit different. And I think with Minkah, who's been in the league for a good amount of time, we saw a clear decline. Not say he was all of a sudden a bad player, but an obvious decline in terms of the turnovers and things of that nature. And so, even so, I wasn't in love when I saw, the second tweet come out from Schefter saying, hey, Minkah Fitzpatrick's part of this trade. That bummed me out. He's one of the longest tenured guys that the Steelers have had. And I saw somebody say it, but he was a heart and soul guy. He'd been there since 2019. He's always felt like a steward of that team. And the fact that he's gone is a bit of a bummer. Legitimately one of my favorite Steelers ever. And this, I don't want to say dark period because they've been to the playoffs multiple times and whatnot, but in this period of turnover from Ben Roethlisberger to this new litany of quarterbacks that continues, Minkah Fitzpatrick has been one of the very few guys that you've tuned in to watch every week because you knew that he was going to be able to, keep you in the game, keep the Steelers in the game. It was going to be one of the guys that, put on every week. And so seeing him go is a bit disappointing for sure. And seeing him go back to Miami is a little bit odd. Obviously, the trade that brought him to Pittsburgh, he came from Miami. It's where he was drafted. He had issues with Brian Flores, who was the head coach then. Obviously, he's not now. So I was surprised. I don't think anybody had the Steelers trading Minkah Fitzpatrick on their bingo card this offseason. That being said, it certainly felt like this was probably going to be his final year as a Steeler. I don't think they were going to give him any sort of new deal. And so when you have something like that, similar to the George Pickens aspect of it in terms of just the pure contract things, very different locker room guy. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick is a locker room guy. But in terms of the Steelers saying, all right, we're not going to bring this guy back, his best days are behind him, respectfully speaking, I can understand it from that perspective, especially if you're getting a guy like Jalen Ramsey who can play all over the secondary and Jonnu Smith, another offensive threat. I get it from the business point of view when it comes to that. But as, just a pure fan perspective from this, it is a little bit of a bummer knowing that Minkah Fitzpatrick won't be there in 2025. But on the Jalen Ramsey side of this, there had been rumors for the past month or so about Jalen Ramsey and the Steelers having some sort of mutual interest in a potential trade. And that gets done. And, again, a guy who can play all over the defense, talked about it about like a month ago when these rumors kind of started circulating. And again, by the way, shout out to Ricky. Ricky was right. So bow down, everybody, to the dog with the hat Twitter account who seems to be ahead of all these scoops when it comes to NFL trades and signings and things of that nature. I think that Ramsey is, a net positive, obviously, in the secondary because they can put him at nickel. They can play him back at safety if they want to. There's a lot of different things that they can do with him. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Deshaun Elliott just tweeted saying, hey, I'm excited that that Ramsey is a Steeler, gonna miss Minkah. But this is a business, and that's that's what happens when these types of things, the business of the NFL coincides with guys who are friends and guys who are played together for a long time. Things like this. It's the business end of things that's not very fun, but it is what it is. And again, if you're watching this on Twitter, I am going to be doing a Believe in Steelers episode later on today where I go a little bit more deeper into this. So be sure to head over to the Believe in Steelers podcast feed whenever that comes up. I did just want to come on here and give a quick synopsis. I'm going to do a much deeper dive on Believe in Steelers here later on, just for your podcast feed. It'll also be on the Believe YouTube channel as well, so you can watch it over there. But again, just wanted to come on here. Haven't really done any sort of Steelers stuff on my YouTube as of late, so just wanted to give my quick thoughts on everything. Again, gonna miss Minkah, one of my favorite Steelers ever, and a guy who I think a lot of fans have given a lot of slack to over the last couple years because of the lack of splash plays. But overall, I think the Steelers realize, all right, we're not going to give this guy another contract, so we may as well trade him and get something else for him. Get Jonnu Smith, get Jalen Ramsey, and go from there. Again, from that point of view, it's understandable. It is frustrating as a fan, but these things happen in the NFL, and that's just what it is. Joey says he was really special in 2019. Literally the reason our defense got a lot. That's true. Yeah. I mean, people forget before the Minkah trade took place, the defense of the mid to late 2000s was still carried over into that 2019 season. Those defenses that really kind of blew things when it came to, they had guys like Sean Spence and Mike Mitchell and Cortez Allen and who else was back there? Antoine Blake, those bad defenses with, the meme starters. If you go back and, look at that AFC Championship game starting defense in the secondary, it was horrible. And so that was still carrying over from 2018 when they lost to Jacksonville in they missed the playoffs in 2018. My apologies. In large part because, the defense was not great. And so Minkah was basically the thing that turned that over, right? Where they trade for Minkah after Ben goes down, basically saying, hey, we're not giving up on this season. We're just going to try to lean on our defense to maybe get to the postseason. And they very nearly did it. They were 8-5 at one point. Then they lost their last 3 games to the Jets, the Bills, and the Ravens that year and missed out on the playoffs. But the fact that they were even in that spot was in large part due to Minkah. He had 5 interceptions that year. Was a first-team All-Pro. The highlight for him that year was the game against the Colts where he had the 96-yard pick six off Brian Hoyer. He was doing big. I mean, in his first game against San Francisco, he had an interception and I think a fumble recovery that game too. So made an instant impact when he got traded to Pittsburgh. And again, just a guy that was so easy to root for. And I'm going to continue wishing him nothing but the best. Again, it stinks seeing him leave. But from a business perspective, if you're the Steelers, you're saying to yourself, all right, we're probably not going to pay him again. He's taking a little bit of a step back. We have to try to get better now and going forward. They paid Deshaun Elliott, who's obviously a tremendous safety in his own right. Very different player from Minkah. He's more of a box safety who they utilize in that way. We'll see if they go out and get another safety. Justin Simmons is still available. I would like to see them make that move, but we'll see if they go get another safety. And I think Justin Simmons makes a lot of sense when, you look at his accolades compared to Minkah Fitzpatrick's, very similar. Both of them 3-time first team All-Pros, two of the best safeties from that 2019 to 2023 stretch of time. And so I think putting him back there on a very cheap deal, my guess it would be, a 1 year, $4 million deal, something of that nature, maybe even a little bit less. But getting a guy like Justin Simmons to put opposite of Deshaun Elliott, where he can kind of be that ball hawk with Jalen Ramsey and with Joey Porter and with Darius Slay. If you can bring in a guy like Justin Simmons, this thing comes out looking really good for the Steelers. Right now, it's, a little bit of a wash. You'd probably give a little bit of the nod to Pittsburgh because they get Jonnu Smith as well. And I think Jalen Ramsey can still play good ball and they can move him around the defense. So I'd still say overall, it's a net positive for Pittsburgh. It's just a little bit of a bummer because Minkah's part of the deal. And, the vast majority of Steelers fans like Minkah a lot. And so that there is that aspect of it, as we've talked about already. But from the pure Jalen Ramsey perspective, I like it. Getting Jonnu Smith, that's great. But yeah, Minkah is what really helped turn the tide for Pittsburgh. And you look at that 2019 season, you look at what he did in 2020 when they started off 11-0. I mean, he was a huge part of that. You don't become a 3-time first team All-Pro for nothing. And I think a guy like Minkah, that's something that, they'll miss in terms of his leadership. But when you bring in a guy like Deshaun Elliott, who's proven himself at the position as well in different ways, sure. And you're looking at the contract side of things and saying, all right, we're probably not going to bring him back, so we may as well get something for him. I get that. And especially when it gets you a guy like Jalen Ramsey. Had they not been able, if they would have just traded Minkah for picks, it would have made zero sense. Especially when, their whole thing is all right, we're going all in for this 1 year with Aaron Rodgers. Now they say, all right, we're going to get Jalen Ramsey, who they probably feel is a better player right now than Minkah is. You get Jonnu Smith as well. So I get it. And overall, like I said, I think it's overall a net positive. But, it's still a thing where fans are going to be a little bit sad to see Minkah go. I know I will be. Again, wishing him nothing but the best going forward, but going to miss seeing 39 on the back end for Pittsburgh. Again, completely unexpected to see Minkah go. And I know a lot of people had the tale of two tweets where they see, oh yeah, Jalen Ramsey's a Steeler. Hell yeah. And then the next Schefter tweet comes out, oh yeah, they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick to get him. It was oh, rats. Again, because that's how I was. I was like, I get it though. I get it. And again, I know that this is a little bit all over the place. Spent a little bit trying to get StreamYard back up. There were some issues getting the stream going for this. Been writing about it all morning into the afternoon. So my brain is scrambled right now, and it's only 1 o'clock Eastern time. So if you're watching this, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you're not going to see, unfortunately, just pure Steelers stuff on here too much anymore because I am the host of Believe in Steelers now. But you can check all of those episodes out and clips on the Believe YouTube channel, and you can listen to that wherever you get your podcasts. So if you've been wondering, hey, why is he not doing so much Steelers stuff as of late? That is why. But I did want to come on here and kind of double dip, talk about it to the YouTube audience, and do a deeper dive on Believe in Steelers with it. So just wanted to say that. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we will be, like I said, on Believe in Steelers later. I'm going to be doing a much deeper dive into all of this. You can subscribe to it wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on the Believe YouTube channel where all the episodes go as well. You can go check out my sit down with Jerome Bettis, which is over there. Go watch that. Bus was great. You can listen to it. Like I said, listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. We also had Ryan Switzer on this past week. You can go listen to that. I'll put up clips as well from those interviews on this YouTube channel. That way you can be like, oh, okay, you get a little bit of it on here. But if you want the full episodes at length, go to the Believe YouTube channel or listen to Believe in Steelers wherever you get your podcast. And again, I'm going to be doing a deep dive right after I'm done with this on Believe in Steelers. So be sure to go over there and listen to it once it is up. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.